Hey, we're doing fractals and recursions today. Hey, we're doing fractals and recursions today. Hey, we're doing fractals and recursions today. I think you get it. Come on. Ravi Bhau, kase hai?
मस्त. तुम्ही कसे?
So far so good.
निवांत चालू आहे का?
Your Marathi is much better than...
Yeah, mine is good. I studied my 11th and 12th in Pune. And I had to learn Marathi. I even grew up on Marathi adult literature. So see, desperate. That's how desperate we were to get. Not like, so it was not those internet times, right? We needed books.
Yeah, I completely sympathize with the whole thing. Yes.
So that's how driven you can be when the hormones are raging.
Yep.
I had to learn the language just so that I could understand. Good fun. Yeah.
Good. So,
So what are we doing today?
So we were supposed to do the dots and boxes today.
Right.
And unfortunately, it looks like we'll have to rework the whole logic, the gameplay itself.
And the structures, data structures.
And the data structures behind it. So it'll take some more time.
Sure.
And I thought in the meantime, today we'll just do some...
Canvas stuff.
And our two most favorite things, fractals and recursions.
Right.
We'll draw a fractal using recursions. I mean, we've done it before, but I also want to do... I want to show a different fractal pattern.
Correct.
And I think, doing this fractal, we are going to be looking at some canvas transformation function. So it's a nice introduction into canvas transformations also.
Let's do it.
So without further ado, let's just get into it. All right, Ravi. So before we even proceed, let's look at some transformation functions that are available in Canvas.
Sure.
Okay. So there is a function called scale, and what it does, it scales the canvas by x and y factors. And how you invoke it is just by saying context.scale. You provide an x and y value. I have a piece of code snippet over here, and let's say I draw a red rectangle, starting from 50, of size 50, 50.
Right.
And then I scale the canvas by 3 and 2. And then I draw a blue rectangle.
Okay.
All right. So I've made the blue rectangle a little bit transparent.
Right.
What will happen is that, the canvas gets scaled 3 times wide and 2 times by height, which is what you see happening to the blue rectangle.
Right.
All right. Pretty easy to understand.
Scaling.
Rotate. This is another transformation. You can rotate something by r radians. All right, you just call the context.rotate. You provide a radians, which is a value from 0 to pi, and then it will rotate it by that many radians. Right. So I have a red rectangle, and then I rotate the canvas by 1,6. Now you would expect that the rotation would be in the canvas center, but that's not how it works. It will rotate it always by the top left, which is the 0,0 location. So once you do that, it rotates it by that, and then I draw a blue rectangle. So I think it's pretty understandable, right?
So you rotate and then it draws the...
Exactly. So I'm just drawing a regular rectangle, but that rectangle would appear rotated.
Right.
That's
Right.
And then there is the translate. One way of explaining the translate is offsetting the canvas's 0,0 location. All right. So if I say the context or translate by any x, y, that x, y would become its new 0,0 position.
Right.
All right. So if I was to say, I draw a red rectangle at, let's say, 0,0, so it will draw a normal regular red rectangle. And then I say translate 50, 50, and I draw a blue rectangle at the same 0,0 location.
Right.
On the canvas, it will appear as if I have drawn it at the 50, 50 location.
Correct.
All right.
Right.
But but because of the translate, it will appear as if it's offset by that much.
So what would be the advantage? I can also directly draw a fill rect starting at 50, 50 and then, right?
Yes, you could do that. All right. transformation functions generally are very useful when you use it along with save and then restore. Alright, so there are two more functions that you'll have to be aware of. So there is something called a save, and you can and then you can restore. So whatever, so the save it's like having a save point on the canvas itself. So whatever transformations or whatever no transformation you've had before the save function, that would be stored, and then you can just restore it by saying, take me back to wherever the last save point was.
Correct.
So I have a piece of code. I mean, let's just treat this as a puzzle. I do a translate 200, 200, and then I draw a red rectangle at 0, 0. Can you tell me where on this canvas it would be drawn? It would be drawn somewhere over here.
Correct. 200,
Yeah,
200.
200, 200. And then I do a restore. Restore means that it restores wherever the context 0, 0 position was. Origin was. So it will go back to the top left of the canvas.
Sure.
And then we draw a blue rectangle. More or less, it will look like this.
Right.
Alright? Because the first piece
is at 200.
200, 200. Alright?
Right.
Now let's do what we are going to do today. Alright, we're going to be drawing a fractal today. And let me just explain through the steps we are going to do.
Sure.
I have a context on which I translate to width, 2, height, by height. Alright. So width, 2 is half of the width of the canvas, height would be here.
The whole of the
And then I say, draw a line from 0, 0 of 0 to 0, minus 40, which means it will go up. It will go in the up direction. That line would look like this. And the reason for that is because this point over here has now become the new 0, 0. Let's add another piece of code to it. I say context.translate 0, 40. Remember, we drew this line to 0, 40. So I'm saying that now that has become the new 0 point of the context.
Right.
I say rotate the context by minus 1.6.
Sure.
And then I say draw a line of size minus 20 from 0, 0.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Alright?
So you have rotated to the left.
To the left once more. And now what will happen is that it will look like this. Right? This green line has now been drawn.
Correct.
Let's go to the next one. And I do the exact same thing. I say translate it to 0, minus 20. Rotate it by another minus 1.6. And then draw a line to minus 10. Alright? So now what this will do? This will basically put this blue line over here, starting from the green line. All right, and you can go on to any depth you want over here. All right, so now we want this. Basically, what I want to do is I want to take this original stock or the original line and branch out in two different directions.
Sure.
This is where the magic of save and restore will be very useful. So what I do is, once again, I do a translate. I draw a line to minus 40. I save the context. I save the transformations on the context. I draw this left line and then I say restore it. Restore it to wherever it was before this thing. Then do a translation, but this time rotate it to plus 1.6. And then we draw a line once again to that whole same minus 20. So now it will look like it has branched out.
Right.
All right. Now, if you keep doing this in a recursive function, you will see that it basically branches out and then it forms a nice tree-like fractal pattern.
Sure.
So that's the whole explanation behind this. Let's just code it up and see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll begin like we do with every episode. I have here an index.html page on which I have included a canvas of size 600 by 600. The canvas is centered on the screen. I've also included a file called fractal.js, which will serve as our main fractal generator. The fractal JavaScript file is pretty simple. We have a window onload function where I have loaded the canvas and I derive the 2D context of the canvas. I then call a draw fractal method, which simply makes the canvas black for now. Let's get to coding the main fractal. Let's draw the very first trunk of our fractal. We'll start with saving the context and then translating the context to the middle bottom of the canvas. We'll then draw a line from the bottom to a given line size. I'm making this a variable and setting its value to 150. All right, let's see what that looked like. So that's about it. We just drew a line from the center bottom of the screen to about 150 pixels. That's about it. All right. So we will need to branch out from this location, and every branch that we create needs to have its own branches. So let's do just that. We'll begin by translating the context to the point where the line ended, and we'll invoke a function called branchout, which we will declare now. The branchout function will take in a line size as parameter, and every recursive call, it will reduce the line size by a factor. I'm making this factor a variable and setting it to 0.66. If the line size becomes less than a stopping size, which is also a variable, then we'll make the exit condition of our recursive function as that. We'll save the context and we'll rotate it by an angle. Then we'll draw the line from that point, and when the drawing ends, we'll recursively call the branchout function. When it is all done, we'll restore the context. Let's see what that did. When I refresh the screen, you can see that the fractal is indeed drawn. But there are two issues with it. One, the line is probably too thick. And number two, the angle is too high, which means, you can't appreciate the fractal. So let's just fix two of those. Number one, I'll reduce the angle by, let's say, 0.8, which is half of its initial value. And I'll also reduce the thickness by, let's say, to just 2 from 20. And when you do that, and you can see, you can totally appreciate the fractal. Remember, we want this fractal to be happening on both these ends. So let's code that in. I also want to code in the color so that each branch of this fractal appears in its own color. And I also want to reduce the thickness as the fractal grows out of its base. All right, so let's fix all of that. Let's just copy the code from above. The only thing that will change here is that the rotation angle is now negative. So with just this one piece of code where we have the angle at a negative of the previous branch, you can see now that it perfectly creates this nice fractal tree. All right, so let's just play around with the thickness and the color and see how much more beautiful we can make this fractal. We'll start by declaring the variables for the line thickness at the start, and also a percentage by which it must be reduced. We'll give the branchout function the thickness parameter, and every recursive call will reduce the thickness by that reduction factor. So now that we've added it in, let's see what that looks like. You can see that the base starts out as being very thick, and then it sort of reduces in thickness as the number of lines or the number of recursions keeps on adding. All right, let's also play around with the color and see if we can introduce some hue into this. I've added a hue parameter to the branchout function. This hue will be increased by 20 each recursive call. We'll set the stroke color to the hue and pass the hue parameter to the recursive calls. We'll also have to pass the initial value to the branchout's first call. When I reload the screen, you can see the fractal tree is generated in a beautiful hue pattern. There is one more thing I want to do. I want to introduce an angle offset so that the left or the right branches are given a bit more of a bias when it comes to angle. Let's do just that. What I'm doing here is adding an angle offset variable, and that offset variable will be added to the context's rotate function. So if you look at the result now, nothing would have changed. It doesn't look any different. However, if I go back to the code and if I change the angle offset somehow by, let's say, 0.1, you will see that it is offset by, towards the right hand side. Let's make it 0.3 so that it's a little bit more pronounced, and you can see that it sort of goes over to the other end. All right, and this can of course be increased by how much ever you want, and you can see a much more different fractal is created out of the same thing. All right, so if I was to make this minus 0.5, you'll see that it is now biased towards the other end. Now what I want to do next is I want to make all of these into HTML controllable controls or scroll bars or sliders, so that when I adjust any one of them, then the entire tree is refreshed and it is drawn in real time. So this will involve a little bit of HTML, but I think it will be worth it. Let's do that. On the HTML page, I'm adding a table that will house all the controls. We'll begin by adding an angle range slider. This slider will have a minimum and maximum range. It will also have the step parameter, which determines how much to change the value of the slider by. The onInput event will ensure that the current value of the slider is displayed on the output content here. Now you will see that the control appears on the screen, and if I change the value of the slider here, the value on the output text field also, or the output text also changes. However, this value of the slider is not tied to the value of the canvas. So let's fix that. Let's add an event over here, and when this changes, the angle of the fractal also changes. We'll add a function called addEvent, which will query all the input fields on the HTML page and add the input event on them. If the ID of the current event generating input field matches angle, then we will take its value and set it to the angle variable that we have already declared. At the end of this, we'll call the drawFractal function. If I now move the slider over here, you can see that the angle of the fractal also changes. It is now more dynamic and is tied to the slider. Now let's add the remaining sliders which control all of the aspects of this fractal generation and see how that goes. All I have to do now is add the controls in the events for the rest of the variables that can be adjusted. Each control, of course, will have its own minimum, maximum, and step values. We'll speed through this section because this is exactly the same way we added the angle slider and its events. We've added the rest of the controls on the HTML file. We've tied these events to whatever happens on the canvas. And if I now change, let's say, the offset over here, you can see it creates a much more beautiful pattern than before. Let's try and change the angle over here. See, it looks much more better. We can probably reduce the size or the end line size. You can play around with that. And you can see that if I make it 1, it makes it a little bit more wispier, or it appears to give a fur pattern onto the canvas itself. If I increase it, you can, if I increase the line size by let's say 0.7, you can see it creates a much more intricate pattern than before. Although this does take a lot more processing than before, right? Because of so much recursions that are happening. You can change the thickness size, and yeah, it creates a much more nice, beautiful effect. You can see, I can make it thicker or thinner, or I can basically just play around with these controls in whatever fashion I want. All right. So I think that brings us to the end of the coding session itself. Let's look at the results with Ravi. And before I look at the results with Ravi, I just want to also play around with the shadow of the fractal pattern. Just add some shadow to it before we look at the results with Ravi. All right. You see this? This is the result, Ravi. All right. So it forms like a nice fractal tree. I've also added some controls and everything over here. And with these controls, you can change the aspect of how the fractal is drawn itself. So let's just start by just changing the angle. And you can see how the fractal looks like. So you can get several different patterns out of this. Now, if you feel that the line thickness is too much, we can just reduce it so that it becomes a little bit more. I would say I would use the word wispy over here, because we can make it a little bit more wispy looking or hairy looking, or as if the ends have fur, something like that. Right? So that's something that we can do. We can also change its offset so that we can basically form different types of fractals or different types of fractal trees.
Wonderful.
Right? So you can see what happens when you change different aspect of it.
Okay.
All right. What's the other thing that we can change? Yeah, we can change the line size so that it sort of draws more and more with.
It's a bigger.
Yeah,
tree.
It's a bigger tree. So let me just change the offset. Maybe. Maybe on this side this time. And I can also control how much the line size reduces by
each time. Right,
but we got to be careful with this one, all right? Because the more line size you give, so every what do you say? Every recursive call that we make, we reduce the size of the line by this much percentage.
Correct.
Now, if you make it, let's say, between 0.6 and 0.75, it performs okay. But if you go above, let's say 0.8 and 0.9, so each recursive function, it only reduces it by so much, and then the tree sort of, I mean, you can count that the number of recursions calls would be, and that sort of has an effect on, on performance.
Sure.
So we'll just leave it like this, and then you can just play around and play around how beautiful it looks.
Yeah.
And everything.
Wow.
Right.
Very
I think it's a very nice function to play with, or it's a very nice understanding of how recursion works. Right. Every branch of this tree that you see is essentially a recursive call.
Right.
So this is a recursive call. This is a recursive call. And then recursion all the way through, and every single branch that you see over here, those are all recursive calls, all drawn through recursion.
Very cool, very nice.
So fractals and recursions, I think two of our favorite things. We visited it so many times during our during all of our episodes.
Yeah. Very
I mean, as such, I think you can create some very beautiful patterns out of this.
Sure.
So I can make it thicker so that I can.
Okay.
I can make it thicker and like a proper tree.
Yeah.
Right. So this is one of the ways actually in video games how they create trees, or through recursive functioning and all of those things.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a different way to do it, but this is one of the ways you could actually make very natural looking trees in a generated world.
Right. Yeah.
So that's all we had for this week. Join us again next week, where we'll attempt to complete that dots and boxes program that we had in mind, or project that we had in mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do tell your friends. This is a small channel, but we are adding about 2 subscribers per week, I would say, on an average. It would be lovely to have more though. So do tell your friends, and if you are watching this as your first episode, subscribe for more content like this.
And if you want to see something in particular also, let us know.
Thank you so much. Ciao.